Very good evening to you, Mr. Mkhabela. Good to have you with us. Perhaps let's start with some reactions from you regarding the outcome of this report. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, and the listeners of SABC Channel Africa. It is great to agree that transformation hasn't done much as expected, but transformation as well couldn't be regarded as having failed, or economic transformation as having failed, because that it could mean that as we walk, we don't see what we are presented to. We only get to be confined on our emotions and other things, which I wouldn't really like to do that. Like, I'm not as well extreme, but I will have to indicate one thing, that B-BBEE hasn't failed. At the same time, affirmative action, B-BBEE has made tremendous strides in South Africa, looking at black professionals and looking at management control and looking at ownership. And then where the report is looking at, it could be better when the Department of Trade and Industry and the JSE can conduct a pure report, but I disregard the outcome of what was presented, because that is not the representation of transformation in terms of figures or in terms of numbers that were presented, whether it could be speaking about black ownership on JSE stuck at 1.5%, despite decades of B-BBEE deals. B-BBEE or transformation with around 255 billion, equivalent to 6.9% of SA assets. B-BBEE or economic transformation sitting at 1.5% of market capitalization of the 60 companies that are listed in the JSE. Such is so vague. We cannot do things and do things. We need to do things. We need to come up with a proper methodology that could look at black ownership, because it's not like we are trying to put a narrative that is not having a firm proposition. And then from those bases, I'm saying the narrative that has been shared are practically vague, because we cannot only as well evaluate economic transformation only on B-BBEE deals. There are black, so black ownership is not limited to listed companies and B-BBEE deals.
I want us to
there are black businesses that are not listed, and then there is no B-BBEE deal on it. And a lot of companies are there. So we need to as well look at those businesses that are there. And then we look as well at small businesses that are there. And then we look at a proper evaluation of economic transformation in South Africa. And we have
so are you then saying, Mr. Mkhabela, that perhaps the fundamental methodology of conducting a research or a study of this nature needs to structurally change, where the companies are tiered, perhaps based on size, on ownership, if it's a foreign country company, a domestic company, etc.?
So, like they selected 60 listed companies. So, in 60 listed companies, evaluating such, the information that could be how they draw a proposition. They are drawing a proposition that are not firm, because that is not, it's an estimate or it's probabilities. So we need something more tangible as to, we look at all listed companies in the JSE. And then when we evaluate all listed companies in the JSE, and then we'll determine how much could be the share of black people in listed companies. but it must as well go to an extent of how many unlisted companies that are doing well, that are medium-sized and small cap.
I guess it would, Mr. Mkhabela.
Two black companies, and we evaluate that.
Yes,
and
Mr.
then we come up with an understanding of how much is a black share in the South African economy.
Mr. Mkhabela, if you could just give me a Mr. Mkhabela.
Listed companies for the past 15 years. And then I know as well that there are shortcuts that a lot of people would like to take, and then there is populist statements that can come out of such, while as well it is very good to look at doing things that could assist all of us, and at the same time, when we are not having listed companies, and then we are not having banks as black people, how do we start to develop business positive attitudes that can make us to develop banks or financial services? We look at manufacturing, we look at agriculture, and then we look at other automotive industry components, because it is a strategic as well element in South Africa.
Mr. Mkhabela, we're going to unfortunately have to leave it at that for this evening. That's Mr. Miyelani Mkhabela, CEO and Chief Investment Strategist at Antswisa Capital Partners. I'm not sure if there was a problem with that line, but he really couldn't seem to hear me as I was speaking to him, because I think what's quite important to point out about this particular report is that because the JSE was involved in putting this together, they would then strategically look at JSE listed companies as opposed to opening it up to the entire economy. Perhaps that's a scope that can be extended, by other bodies. But what is also quite interesting about this particular report is that indirect ownership and compliance scoring were potentially inflating those empowerment outcomes, and therefore some possibilities there of companies very easily being able to maneuver through the deliverables and really being able to play the system, so to speak. And also the big question that's begged here is, what is the role that the likes of the IDC, the PIC, the Treasury, for example, should be playing in driving meaningful ownership transformation in the capital markets, ensuring the transformation is authentic and ensuring that it really is a triple BEE, transformation and empowerment that we're seeing in the JSE listed companies. Let's head over now to the markets desk